Good morning, everyone. Please find your seat. You too. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate your support. I just want to announce to everyone, first I want to bring the meeting to order, of course, but I want to announce to everyone that only delegates and alternate substitution for a delegate can sit in the designated area. Okay, others, please sit with the residents. So we're calling the meeting to order. Bertha, do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do. We have.
Thank you very much. Okay, Alan Perlman.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Stan.
All right, I'm going to quote the Cobrua Bylaws, Article 4, Section 10. All meetings of the delegate shall be open during the good and welfare part of the meeting. Length of time for resident to participate shall be at the discretion of the chair. I believe at the last meeting you twice or maybe 3 times said that 2 minutes is the allotted time, and I wanted to clarify that.
That's correct, Stanley. That's what I said.
Excuse me, sir. Can you please introduce who you are? Say who you are, she said. She doesn't know who you guys are.
Oh, okay. I'm Charlie Rosenfeld. I'm the president of Cobrua.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Haynes. I'm first vice president.
Sitch Ward, second vice president.
Alan Perlman, recording secretary.
Ted Spar, financial secretary.
Stanley Siegel, budget director and chairman of the M&O committee.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Alan, if you could go over your report. Secretarial, I guess. Yeah, the minutes. Yeah.
The minutes of the April Cobrua Delegates meeting are printed in the Cobrua Reporter. Has anyone read them and found an addition, correction, or omission from those published minutes? Is there any objection to accepting the minutes as published? Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to provide my report, which is the president's report. We had a wonderful presentation by the Palm Beach County Planning, Zoning, and Building Department. The speakers answered questions as to when contractors are required, when permits are necessary, how to select a contractor, the danger and expense of using unlicensed contractors, how to check the permit history of your property, and the role of code compliance and more. The presentation was well received, and many residents interacted by asking several questions. We may bring this presentation back in January when most of the snowbirds return. We knew going in that we wouldn't have a full house because of the snowbirds being up north, but the building division informed us that they'd be happy to do another presentation in January. So we're going to work toward that when everyone is here. But meanwhile, the people that were here were provided a lot of information and good information, very informative information, and I think most people really enjoyed it and got a lot out of it. In addition, I would like to bring other presentations that include educational material that is important for us to learn. If anyone has any ideas that fit into that category, I would certainly like to know. All residents are invited to attend and are encouraged to do so. Detectives from PBC Sheriff's Department also attended to speak to the residents about fraud against citizens and what to do about it. They stated that if you have been a victim of fraud, you must report it so that they can take action and protect our residents. This was a group effort, but I would still like to thank the following people for their assistance in making the presentation a success. Judy Millington, the Vice President of SunWest, was a great help. First Service Residential and Cobrua First Vice President Carolyn Haynes that worked really hard to make this happen. And we worked together. Sometimes we bumped heads, but we did work together. And I want to thank Stanley Siegel for his input and Alan Piha. Also, I had the opportunity of meeting Maria Sachs, Mayor Maria Sachs. I had the opportunity of introducing her, and she appeared to be a very down-to-earth person, very lovely. We had some nice conversations. And later that afternoon, she actually called me and said that she would like to do other things with Century Village. So we're going to talk about those things as to what else we would like to do and what we'd like to achieve. Yesterday there was a program that my wife and I attended. Okay, it was called Having Coffee with a Cop. I put that out there at our meetings, and I think my wife and I were the only ones that attended from Century Village. But they met in Target, and they were offering coffee and other little goodies to eat. And there must have been 10, 12 police officers there. And it was a very nice morning. So my wife and I were there for about an hour and a half. And we had some nice conversations with the police, and it was really lovely. Okay, I wanted to make a motion to suspend our meetings in June, July, and August. So I want to ask for a second. Why? Okay, because that's what we've done in the past, frankly. We've done that in the past. What? Yeah, well, the last couple of years. I'm pardon?
Discussion first and then discussion. Mitch seconded. I seconded Susan Ortsman.
Okay. Is there any other comments about it? It's open for discussion.
I second it. Was second. Hello.
Okay, we're going to move.
My thought on it is that 3 months to go without any communication seems like a long time. We had always stopped the meetings for July and August, and then just a couple of years ago it was extended to June. I realize that a lot of people take vacations and we may not get a quorum, but I think it's still important to dispense information and for everybody to know what's going on. And 3 months seems like a long hiatus for the group not to meet. So I personally will vote no on the motion, and if it does not succeed, I will make another motion to suspend just for July and August.
Okay, anyone else?
There's a hand up here.
I can't. Susan Osman, Preston. If there's anything that's very urgent, that we have to have a meeting in June, I'm assuming we would get robocalls to say, okay, this is an important meeting, rather than come to, I mean, I've been to every meeting for the past 7 years, but I think if it's urgent, we would get a robocall saying there's going to be a Cobrua meeting.
Yes.
Anyone else?
Mark Hoffman, Newcastle. I agree with Sid. I think eliminating 3 is too much. I would suggest having one in July, and then you have 2 months and 2 months, rather than it becomes 4 months at a time.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
I'm sorry. Well, Mike Solomon, Cornwall. I would also concur with Sid.
Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna have,
Why don't you vote?
okay, we're gonna have,
Vote.
okay, we're gonna have a vote by hands, okay? So how many people would like to have June, July, and August with no meeting?
Okay, that's it.
And how many would like to have a meeting in June?
No, that's not, no. It's either yes or no on the first motion.
Where's Bert?
The first one won.
Yes.
They'll-
Okay, put your hands up again if you're voting yes.
Yes, what?
It's easy to vote no.
No.
This is for June, July, and August, no meetings.
No.
You have 34 yeses.
Okay. How many are saying no?
Doesn't matter, we have 48. You know, 9.
So the yeses have it. The motion is passed. This is to suspend meetings for June, July, and August. Now, Lynn is not here today. Ted, do you have the treasurer's report?
Treasurer's report, the monthly ending balance, checking was $28,546. CD was $28,760 for a total of $57,307. Last month's balance was $48,000. The difference of $8,000 in checking is the increase from last month is because we collected our annual dues from the association and it shows in last month's figures.
Thank you, Ted. Okay, Stanley, if you could do the budget.
There's no budget report. The budget was approved in March.
That's it? Okay, if you could do the M&O committee. Stanley?
Okay. The committee met with management April 17th. It was on a Wednesday as usual. Attending for management with Judy Milligan, VP and Site Administrator, Monica Wells, Chief Financial Officer, Abby Koffler, VP of Entertainment, and Dan Cruz, Regional Facilities Manager. The entire committee was present. Here are some of the highlights of the meeting. There were some minor items that have to be completed or may have been completed in front of the clubhouse. That was basically the parking areas where the buses go. The pedestrian warning signs that we have on the roadways will be continued to blink 24 hours a day as a safety precaution. We're still waiting for the results of the contractor for GL to come up with some solutions on how to alleviate traffic problems in the village. We're still working on a program for having decals on cars for relatives and friends, and we're waiting for legal to come up with a program. There's a problem with a number of drivers who seem to be very selfish. They, rather than staying in the guest line, they shoot into the resident line and hold up traffic a number of times. Even though they're residents of the village, they, for some reason, don't have a decal, and we're working on a program to see how we can penalize these people. Again, we're waiting for legal to come up with a solution for us. We're also awaiting a report, which we'll probably do in the next month or so, on passengers using the internal buses during the season and off-season, and see if there are any modifications necessary for the schedule. Some questions came up regarding the tennis pro. He's not an employee, he does freelance work or private lessons. Suggestions and complaint forms available at the desk. We should have a supply in the clubhouse effective now, and if not, we'll start next time around. Any questions regarding the report? I see a hand with music in the background.
Martin Fish from Rexford. Prior month, there was some discussion about the M&O committee deciding on painting the bricks in front of the
Let me interrupt you. That's for good and welfare, because my report is not talking about that.
Oh, okay. I was just curious if anything happened. Okay.
That'll be taken up. Just to answer your question, since you're standing, I don't want you to get up again. We're taking that up at the next budget meetings.
Thank you.
Coming up in June.
Thank you.
Hopefully.
M&O Committee, Stanley?
I just gave the report.
Oh, I'm sorry. Community Affairs, I'm sorry.
The West Boca Council will have a meeting tonight. It's going to be held at the Coconut Grove Water Park in the Bert Aronson Facility Park down on, way down Yamato Road. The guest speaker will be our Commissioner and Mayor Maria Sachs. Basically, she'll be talking about the various athletic programs in the park and how to make improvements or come up with new ideas. So everyone, of course, is invited, and there's going to be some refreshments, so that should be, an inducement. Otherwise, there's nothing really extra to report right now in community affairs.
Okay, thank you. Comcast, Stanley, anything on Comcast cable?
There's been some problems with Channel 63 and the News 1075. I will be in touch with the rep to find out exactly why it's a continuous problem, and hopefully it can be resolved. The trouble seems to be coming from Comcast service coming from the outside, but let them come up with the answer rather than me guess. So I should have an answer within the next week or two.
Okay, thank you. Is Regina here? Yeah. Do you have anything for Hotwire?
It stinks.
Hey, why?
Can't hear you. Oh, okay.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Regina from the Hotwire Committee, and Hotwire is almost complete. They have removed the staging area. That was the main hub for all the 5 associations that are with Hotwire. They've resodded the area, cleared it, cleaned it. Hopefully it'll be as good as new very shortly. Guilford and Hythe are already wired at the pools for the Wi-Fi. The other 3 associations are going to be completed within the next 2 weeks. Hotwire is awaiting the locate tickets for utilities before they dig and completely wire the other 3 pool houses. It's a work in motion to be completed very shortly. After that, the switches for all 5 associations will be placed. Hotwire will have the Wi-Fi service going, and they decided to keep one password for the pools for all 5 associations. That password will be determined, and every resident will know what it is. So far, tentatively, they think the password will be Hotwire01. But that's subject to change after all the switches are in. Other than that, that's it for Hotwire. Any questions? Hello? Hotwire has Guilford, Hythe, Newcastle, Wolverton, and Yarmouth.
So it's 4.
5.
5. Anyone else?
Frida Spiro from Yarmouth. In the contract with Hotwire, they say they have a service level agreement, and they produce reports that show how often they meet the requirements. Do you get the copies of the report yet, and how can you get the copies?
No, they're waiting for all the services to be completed, and then we're all going to be given progress reports as
Is there any penalties? Because I told penalties as well,
for.
in case they don't meet the requirements that they promised.
Yeah, so far I think they've met every requirement.
I'm not going to say anything until I see the reports.
Yes.
So they'll be distributed to the presidents, and then it will be up to the presidents to distribute it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, First Service Advisory Committee, is there any report on that? No. Yeah, well, it's on the list. Mona, you have anything for the Crest Advisory?
Regarding the First Service Advisory,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go
it
ahead.
was just assigned to us a few days ago, so we're going to get together and we'll report, I guess, in the next meeting, whatever that is.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it. What is it? Okay, Bylaws Committee, Alan Perlman. No, I didn't, I'm sorry. I just want to say that there's,
An amendment to the bylaws was proposed, and the bylaws say that it has to be considered at 2 consecutive delegates meetings. We are now in the second of those 2. Last month, there was a discussion about the merits of having the president be allowed to keep running as long as he wants, which is what the amendment says. But the bylaws say no. The president, once he has served his 2 terms, must then wait at least 2 years before running again for president, first vice president, or second vice president. So we're asking the delegates now, do they vote in favor of adopting a bylaw that eliminates that restriction, that doesn't prevent presidents from running again? Or do they vote no, we want to keep that restriction in because it must be there for some reason? So are there any people who have something to add to the discussion?
Frida Spiro from Yarmouth. I personally am in favor of maintaining the bylaws, same way we have it with the presidents, that you can't be the president of the United States for more than 2 terms. It brings in new ideas and new approaches, and I don't think there's anything lost, although I know people are concerned about losing the skill set. But I think the change is good and it prevents corruption, not that I'm saying that there's any corruption.
Wait, you have a hand.
Okay.
Right here.
Question, was it one question at a time?
Milton Fishburger, Cornwall. We have discussed this several times. I've made my opinion very clear. There is absolutely no need to change the existing bylaw. I am very much supportive of term limits. I don't think there is a change that's needed. It's healthy for everybody over here to understand that, as Frida just said, there's absolutely no need. This organization will run fine in a couple of years after the current president is term limited out. I have no issues with that, just like we have done for the Cobra meeting, for the Cobra committees. There is a term limit on that as well. Sid served her term. Carolyn is now serving her term. There is no issues. We're all adults here. You don't need someone being here for 10 years, 12 years, etc. So that is my opinion, and I hope people understand that term limits are very important for the health of an organization.
Okay, make a motion.
Helene Harris, Height Association. Alan, I just wanted to ask you if you were going to read the amendment in full again. I didn't see one on the chairs. Isn't this the second reading? No. There's the reading. No.
people ready to hear it now? Amendment to Article 5, Officers of Amended and Restated Bylaws of Century of Boca Raton Umbrella Association, which we call Cobrua. Whereas, at a duly called and noticed meeting of the delegates of the Century of Boca Raton Umbrella Association, held on April 9th, 2024, and May 14th, 2024, Section 5 of the amended and restated bylaws are to be amended as follows. Article 5, Section 5, the term of office for all officers shall be 2 years, provided that they shall continue to serve until their successors are elected and installed. Now, the amendment is now proposing to strike the following information. Don't include, the president shall not serve more than 2 consecutive elected terms. After 2 consecutive elected terms, the president cannot run for office of president and/or first or second vice president for a minimum of 2 years. The rest is still in, except as the bylaws are amended and provided herein, each and every one of the terms and provisions of the bylaws shall remain unmodified and shall continue in full force and effect. And then fine print, all capitalized terms that are not defined herein shall have the definition given to them in the bylaws. That's just fine print. So that's the technical language for someone wants to take out where it says the president can't run, and if you vote yes, it's coming out. If you vote no, it's staying in just the way it is.
Any questions? Is there any discussion at all? Okay, hands raised, vote for a proposed amendment. If you're voting yes, please raise your hand.
Do you want to change the amendment?
Okay, if you're saying no, please raise your hand for no. Okay, I think the no's taken. Thank you. The motion is not passed. Okay, we're going to move forward. Carolyn, you have anything for the Cobra group?
Yes, thank you. Hi, I'm Carolyn Haynes. I'm president of the Cobra Group. If you were not able to attend our March 1st presentation in the theater, you will see in the May Cobrua Reporter a list of the questions and answers that were conducted at that meeting. You'll also find the minutes to the March meeting that the Cobra Group held. The June Cobrua Reporter will also list another series of questions and answers that were taken at that presentation in March. So please read the Cobrua Reporter, both May and June, and you'll get a good overview of the questions and answers that were posed regarding the transaction that we have in 2028. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Jody, can you do the security report, please?
The
morning, my name is Jody with United Security, and this is our monthly report for April. For miles patrol, 6,978. Pre-authorized calls, 6,958. Commercial vehicles and contractors, 628. Elevator rescue and malfunction, we had 5. 1 auto accident, 2 welfare checks, and 0 fires. Any questions?
Here.
Hi Jody, Susan Ortsman Preston. Last month you mentioned that certain trucks or people that work here get a card to let them in. Can you or for Cobrua notify, I'd like to know who are the ones that are authorized to come in through the resident gate and they just hold up a card, which I once brought up and you mentioned to me certain ones. I'd like to know who are the ones that are allowed to go in and who has that card when relatives, which I was going to suggest to Stanley, but he mentioned that I think I have 4 relatives that come to visit me often, so they have to wait on by the gate. And Stanley suggested that they're looking into getting a decal for them, which I'm happy about. So I'd like to know who the people are authorized to come in just to show a certain card.
It's not a card, it's a pass that security creates for them. One of them is Hotwire, they work for the village. Another one is B&B Construction. I don't remember every name, but I can get it to you guys.
Yes, I would like to know, we'll put it in the Cobrua, I would like to know who they are.
No problem.
Thank you, Jody.
Thank you. Good morning, Jody. Mitchell Schaefer from Brighton. Every time we have the meeting, there are various comments that are brought up regarding breach of security at the various gates. And you always ask, what was the time, what was the date? And many times people don't know. May 4th, 2:15 p.m. I was waiting to make a left turn into the Kimberly Gate. 2 people on bicycles rode east across Kimberly into the outgoing Kimberly Lane. Did not hesitate whatsoever to stop, to show any kind of an ID card. Nobody was there to question them. In general, you're doing a fine job, but there are many breaches that have to be checked. These were elderly people, and guaranteed they probably did live here, but that doesn't mean anything. They still have to show an ID card and be stopped if they're going in the outgoing lane. They never even slowed down. Nobody came out to look at them.
I'll look into that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Jody Monalai, Dorset. You mentioned issues with elevators, which is always a concern to me and obviously our elderly population. Can you give a little more information on what was experienced with the elevator situation so we understand if it affects more than one association?
It depends. The main things, sometimes the elevators are not working. A lot of times they get stuck. So when they get stuck, this is why we do monthly elevator checks. So if you guys ever see our rover walking to your buildings, to the elevators, that's what they're doing. They're checking to make sure that the elevator phones are working so they're able to contact us if anyone gets stuck inside. When that happens, they call us, we notify 911 and they come out. We also contact First Service to contact Oracle Elevators, and we contact Delaware Elevators. But most of the times it's the elevators not working, being stuck open or just won't stop on the 2nd floor.
You mentioned 5 incidences. Were they one association or multiple associations?
Separate associations. I don't have the specific ones on my paper, but it's in the office.
And it's stuck elevators, that people were actually stuck in the elevator?
Yes, that's how we were notified that it wasn't working. They called us.
And do we have any documentation or any information on how long that occurred? I mean, in this heat, stuck in the elevator could be a serious health hazard.
They call us immediately. We contact 911 on our way to the elevator so we can do a report ourselves. So usually 911 is here in about 2 minutes, if that, fire rescue I should say, and they're out. Usually sometimes the elevator door will open because security will try to play with it a little bit for it to open, and if it is, then they come out and we still do a report, and we still contact the elevator service.
So you're saying that 911 was able to rescue the individuals stuck in the elevators? And
Fire rescue, yes.
They were able to open the elevator?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I want to find out about the Union and Exeter aides. I'm asking about the aides that are working over here with us. They're coming every day in. They did get an ID or some kind of a thing that they put it on the window, but they are not allowed to come in. The people at the door over there, they said, no, you have to go in and stay on the other line, not at the resident. And they should be able to go in. They should know that, okay, this is an aide. They should be able to get in instead of they should come half an hour later because they have to, stay on the line.
Aides do not get the same privilege as residents with a decal. Aides are not allowed to use the residence lane. They have to stay in the guest lane. The residence lane is the lane for decal. It's a free-throw lane. It shouldn't be a lane that's getting held up, and that's our issue that we're having. So no, aides will not get that privilege, especially because we're trying to get residents that have a Central Village ID to not go in that lane. We're definitely not going to allow aides to go in that lane either. I'm sorry.
I think that the sign should be changed where it says resident with decal. It should only say decal.
I can bring it up to Ms. Duke.
Okay, Ted Levine, president of Exeter. You were talking about organizations, companies that have some sort of special pass or whatever to be able to come in on the resident side. What are the requirements for those businesses to be able to get that?
They're approved by administration. They're working for the village itself, or they're working for in the club in San West. So they're approved.
So they're companies that are specific to working with or for San West?
Yes.
Okay, it wouldn't be for a company that is in Century Village continuously to be able to get something like that. They have to be specifically working with or for San West.
The other companies that are allowed to use that lane, if the line is backed up and security directs them to that line, would be Postal Service, Amazon, FedEx, people like those. First Service also comes in through that lane,
Okay.
but other than that.
Fair enough. Understood. Thank you.
John Oleski, Fanshawe. Do you know how many people came in that were not called in by residents? Do you know how many people came to the gate that were not called in? I believe you gave us a figure last month with that.
No, it's pre-authorized calls.
All right, do you know how many were not pre-authorized that came to the gate?
No, ma'am, we don't keep count of that because we call the resident and log them in to the system.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, it's Frida Spiro from Yarmouth.
Please stand up.
Some people were getting memos saying that they authorized people to come in. When that comes in, I know it's bogus because all the people that called me up and told me about it hadn't authorized anyone.
Majority of the people that they've called me and I've explained to them that it is a glitch. It's a matter of clicking yes and no on the system. If the guard accidentally clicked yes to exit out of that bar, it notifies you that they were let in even when they were not let in. And we've been training a few new guards, so it's been happening.
Okay, because some people who don't even own apartments were getting it.
Because there are numbers in the ABDI system,
Yes.
and they're addressed, that's why.
Previous owners. All right,
Yes.
thank you.
No.
Please stand up, Mona.
Mona Lloyd again from Dorset. Jody, I started using, and I admit I should have started it a long time ago, the online system. And what I noticed, it works very, very well. But what I did have was a question, is there a reason that it's limited to 30 days? Because in some situations, I think longer than 30 days would be beneficial.
I'm not sure if that's on ABDI's end. I can inquire. I don't want to give you false information, so I'll inquire and get back to you.
That's fine.
All right.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Before we close out, we want to ask you guys to continue using the auto system. It has been helping the flow of traffic at the gates. We also want you guys to use the pedestrian walkways. We've been having a lot of residents saying security's trying to control them, and it's not to control you guys. We're looking out for your safety. People are speeding through the village, and we don't want you guys to get hit. We're also asking for pedestrian walkers to carry your Central Village IDs with you. We've been having issues with that at the gates where residents leave to go to Dunkin' Donuts and come back. They have no ID, and security is giving them a hard time, and they get upset. Please have your ID so we can verify who you are to get into the village. As a reminder, do not give your IDs out to your family or your friends. We confiscated 9 IDs last month where the resident had to come back to the clubhouse to get their ID. We don't want you guys to have to do that, but if you guys are still giving it to your family and friends and we catch it at the gate, we will take it from them. We're also asking residents without a decal to use the guest lane. The residence lane is a free flow lane for people with a decal. To expedite the lanes also, I did inquire, your first decal is actually free. If you've never received a decal before, it is free to get one from the ID office. Ms. Jeannie will assist you with that. So if it's because you guys don't want to pay or can't afford to pay, just be advised that the first one is free to help with the traffic flow. That's it for me. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Jody. Okay, we're going to move on to old business, and I just have something quick. We're working on pretty much finalized all the committees that we've discussed in various meetings, and I've spoken with the people over the phone, and we're pretty much there. But if there's anybody that's still interested in a committee, okay, they could see me after the meeting, and we have a form to fill out, just a very basic form, and we'll take a look at it. And there are a few committees that we could probably fit a few more people. So we want people that are interested to have that opportunity. Thank you. Is there any other old business? Okay. Oh.
Milton Fishberger from Cornwall. Over the last, I would guess, a year and a half, if not more, there have been people in this audience, including myself, who has raised the issue regarding electrification for electric cars. And at one of the meetings, I'm not sure if Stanley or someone else said it, that FPL was going to come in here. I've heard that, again, for quite a long time. There were some people here the other time, got pretty adamant about it. And while I don't personally have an electric car, it appears to be that it's going to happen, it's happening. And the excuse that I've always heard was that there's not enough electricity in the village. Well, I don't know that for sure, because I don't know if FPL ever came in here to do a survey, whether it's FPL or any other organization that does that, because there are private organizations that can, in fact, install these charging stations. So is there any update on that? And if there isn't, again, I would ask the M&O committee, and there are new people on the M&O committee, to please look into that for those people who have those electric vehicles who would like to have charging stations in the village. Thank you.
No. Okay, we're going to move on to new business. And basically, I just want to go over, we received a call from Wolin, and, you know, they handle senior citizens, have an adult daycare where you see the little mini buses that come in here and pick up people, take them for the day, bring them home later on. Well, they received a grant, actually, okay, and they called us, okay, and they asked, and they wanted us to be a part of it. So basically what it is, it's a free program, okay, it's available at no cost, as I said, and people can receive a hurricane box contents. This is for hurricanes, but it's available now. Each box contains 5 meals of the following: non-fat dry milk, a half a cup of vegetables, carrots, green beans, half a cup of fruit, mixed fruit, mandarin oranges, peaches, applesauce, 2 ounces of whole wheat crackers, granola bar, 2 ounces of canned serving tuna, beef stew, and chicken beef ravioli. One of the questions that I asked them when we met with them was if it's kosher, because I know we have a lot of people that follow, you know, kosher restrictions, and they said yes. So that's what I was told. But the qualifications for this is where they're 60 and over, and to be staple meals made up of protein, vegetable or fruit, snack, juice, or powdered milk. Now the way people would receive these, okay, they would actually have to go, they would have to call the phone number. Some of you received this today. Call 561-395-8920 to register. So you register with them, and then they would instruct you what you had to do from there. But basically what you're gonna, because we looked at having it, all this food put in here, but it's a liability concern, and there's a gate access problem too with all the trucks and everything else. So we couldn't do that. We thought maybe initially it would be in the parking lot of Sen West, but that's not going to work. So basically, you would have to call, you'd have to make a reservation, and if this is not something that you need yourself, perhaps your neighbors may need it, and so consider your neighbors, because if we do have a hurricane and, you know, things are closed down for 2 or 3 days, this would be a great thing to have. And by the way, people should start stocking up for hurricanes anyway. But I think it's a good thing. It's a free program, and it will go out to people, and I'd like to see people that need it actually receive it, and that's it. Anything else on that, or is it?
Question. Page Bowers, Newcastle, in regard to the bowling center, the meals, I'd like to know if we post
What is the
these,
point of a microphone?
we post these little flyers that you have given us in the different buildings? We can do
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Then I also like to know, how are the meals going to be delivered? Will they be delivered one by one as per registered, or how is that going to happen?
No, how that's going to happen is the residents are going to have to go to them. They're on Palmetto Road, okay, it's not too far. And if there's people that don't drive, they would have to get a neighbor to go for them or something like that, and to make arrangements. But no, they're not coming here. We looked at that, and, you know, if one of the workers would go up the stairs and fall, something like that, it would be a liability issue.
Well, irrespective of, I just wanted to know exactly how the people that want this will be able to get it. So in other words, they have to go to the facility and get them. And
They
now
have to-
they're,
Yeah, they have to call and.
well, I understand that. Once registered and okayed, they would have to go to the facility in order to get the meals. Now, you mentioned that there's 5 meals. So can they go at a one-time shot and pick up the 5 meals, or is it one by one? How do we do
No,
that?
No, I think they could go at one time and pick them up.
They can.
They have to make a reservation and tell them exactly what they're gonna wanna pick up.
Okay. Would it be possible for a robocall?
It's possible, but when would you do the robocall? That's the question. Okay, I mean, it depends on, you know, if and when we have a hurricane, but whether we have a hurricane or not, this is gonna be available.
Well, I'm understanding though it's offered in May. It's offered now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
May and June.
All right. I just wanted to make sure it's all right for us to post this, because I certainly would like the residents to be aware of this. It's a very nice program.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, absolutely, Becky.
Thank you very much, Joe.
Thank you.
Quick clarification, all 5 meals are in the same box. It's a box of 5 meals.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
Yeah, Suzanne Newcastle, then this paper isn't right, because it says it's a one-time delivery program, but they're not delivering.
No, they're not delivering.
Yeah, okay, I just want to make that.
So, sorry about that. Any other questions? In the back.
I think you mentioned that a neighbor can pick it up, but it says you have to show your Florida ID. I'm just wondering if one person can pick it up for like several people.
You would have to call the number and make the necessary arrangements. That's what you would have to do. And I can't answer it, they would have to answer that for you.
Elliot Friedman, Lincoln A. I volunteered at the Volent Center for 15 years. I don't know if it's a kosher meal or not. It comes in a box. The box is about 2 or 3 pounds. I suggest you have transportation to take it home. I'm not discouraging anyone, but I never had a kosher meal from them. It was always tuna fish or ham. Yes, and so I don't know if you're kosher. I never.
Yeah, I specifically asked.
Well, okay, as long as I said that, but you could double check.
Thank you for giving me another responsibility. I appreciate that.
All right. And one more thing: if they're disabled, the person disabled, they will deliver.
Okay.
They will deliver.
Good. Okay. Thank you for the information. Anyone else? No? Okay, we're going to move on to good and welfare for delegates. So any questions? Okay. Can you stand and say your name and where you're from?
Susan Meltzer, Ainsley. The presentation that was done by the county, is it going to be on SendWest's website?
Yes, it is. And if I could...
I couldn't find it last week.
Hold on a second. I think I have it here. Or what? Here it is. I heard there's some issues with it, but I understand it's going to be up. Okay, so I'm not sure because I can't give you a date specific. Was there anything else? Okay, no more delegates. Oh, we have a delegate. To the left? Where?
Harvey Richmond, Cornwall. The other day I heard from one of my fellow residents that the medical clinic that we spoke about a few months ago is in fact going to be opening up in one of the synagogues. Now, I heard this at the pool, which is also known as the rumor mill. So, is it accurate or not?
I'm sorry, what?
Are you recognized?
Okay, Stanley, go ahead.
I won't speak unless I'm recognized.
I recognize you.
Thank you. The medical center, which will be for residents only, has been approved by the county.
It'll be restricted, okay.
Yes, restricted to residents only.
Okay, does that in any way affect our nonprofit status?
No.
Thank you.
Actually, I have two things. Diana Stillwell from Cornwall. Twice this week, there's been a brief water outage, and I'm not sure if it was just, I know it was not just Cornwall, it was also Mansfield they mentioned. It was working, and then it stopped, and then maybe 10 minutes later it was working again. I assume it has something to do with the water mains they're putting in? Nobody know anything about it? Okay. If it happens again, I'll call for service. The other thing is in the...
Yeah, that's a Send West project.
Actually, it's the water people that are doing it.
Okay.
Send West is not doing it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, the other thing is in the Cobrua Reporter, there was, I think it was the MMO committee minutes. They mentioned something about $1 million project working on not the front of the building, but I guess the fencing or whatever along Lyons. Could somebody elaborate on that? What that is?
Could you repeat it again?
It was mentioned there's a $1 million project for the fencing. I believe it's something to do with the fencing along Lyons Road in front of SunWest. The wall?
We're looking to see how we can improve the section over there that faces Lyons Road, but it's not $1 million project.
Okay, because in the Cobrua it did say million.
This is something that's going to be coming up on the budget for the up and coming year.
Okay, so the $1 million reference was incorrect?
What's the second?
It's $1 million for the wall.
Well, time out. The gentleman is explaining it to me. There were two ways, excuse me, there were two ways of doing it, with a concrete wall, basically I'll call it concrete, or with a landscaping approach. The landscaping approach was 700 some odd thousand, whereas the other fixed wall, I'll call it the concrete wall, was $1 million. That's what it said in there. But no decision has been made, because it's a budget item that has to be discussed and decided whether we're going to go in which direction, if any.
Samuel Rivera, Preston F. She mentioned something about the issue with the water. On our last meeting, I mentioned all these backflow that they're putting on. I haven't seen yet anybody put a bollard in front of them to protect them. If a car hits those backflows, it's going to be a big mess. And if it does happen, who's going to pay for it? Are they responsible? That's not going to hold up. I worked for the Broward School Board, and I retired from doing that. In the school board, what we did was in the backflow, we put ballers in front of them to protect them from getting hit by a car. A fence of bushes are not going to hold anything from hitting them. And it'll make a big
Depending
mess.
on where the backflows are, if they're close to the road, there'll be items protecting them.
Right, that's also
If
I
they're further in, there's going to be bushes around them.
Right. I have seen,
If somebody's gonna drive into the association, we've got a problem.
I've seen a couple of them that is right in front of a parking spot. And if a car jumps over that little bump, it's gonna make a mess.
If you get a chance, let me know exactly where you're talking about,
Okay,
and I'll check it out.
right. And I think with the fences, when I walk around, I also, that's when I did fences for the school board. I seen a lot of holes on the line. When you're walking through, all the lines, that whole fence needs to be repaired. I mean, it's a
Well,
lot of
that's what
holes.
we're taking up in the next budget. We're trying to decide how to take care of it.
Stanley, the gentleman is talking about you go over the wheel stop at Midland. Take a look at the Brighton A building. That's one of the best.
Felix Ordich from Mansfield. Charlie, you mentioned about the having somebody come in for the permits, which was a great idea. I have a suggestion. About 5 years ago, the pickleball club brought in the fire department to do a AED and a CPR class for the residents, and it was very helpful. And it's something to consider in the future.
Mona Lloyd, president of the Pickleball Club. We have also reached out to Judy Millington on that very subject, and she had asked us to wait until the front of the building was done and there was less confusion going on in the village. So my intent is to offer that class and coordinate it in the fall when we get some of our snowbirds back, and we'll make that available to anyone that's interested.
Okay, thank you. Good and welfare for the residents. And just to remind you, there's a 2-minute limit. We know that.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and delegates. My name is Fred Hadley. I just want to point out that this morning we voted on an amendment to the bylaws following 2 readings and a discussion. But today you also amended the bylaws illegally. And let me quote from the relevant. This has to do with the meetings of the delegates waived for the summer, Charlie. Article 4, meetings of the delegates, Section 1. The delegates shall meet the second Tuesday of every month to be held at such time and place as the delegates may designate. We have 12 constitutional meetings a year. You cannot change your constitution without proper procedure. We know what the procedure is now because it was followed for the term limits. So how is it that you can take some parts of the bylaws and by a simple majority of vote throw them in the garbage? That's my first question. Well, would you please respond to that?
It was a
Charlie, you're the chairman. I'm asking you.
Okay, I'll get back to you on that.
Pardon?
I'll get back to you.
I can't hear you.
I will get back to you.
You'll get back to me. My second question, it goes to Carolyn's minutes that were in the Cobrua Reporter. I attended the annual meeting of Cobra, and during the Q&A, I was the very first questioner. And my question was, why don't we have greater transparency by opening up the Cobra meeting to residents, just like the Cobrua is open to residents, and put a video camera in the room? And somehow or other, when I read her report in the Cobrua Reporter, that question was omitted. I find it ironic that the question about transparency was buried and not very transparent. I'd like some explanation about why you won't deal with the lack of transparency and the fact that other Century villages video every meeting, from M&O to cable to insurance. And what would be, they don't have an acquisition group because they're not covered, but I'm sure that would have been covered.
Why was that question buried, Carolyn? That's censorship.
Fred, to answer your question, the board will be taking that up and we'll be discussing it as a board. And then whatever our discussion is, it will be indicated in those minutes.
Okay, thank you very kindly.
That's right.
My name is Raisa and I live in Finchel. First of all, I want to welcome new people aboard and wish them a very good and warm and nice environment to work. Second of all, I would like to request actually to restore the bus to the beach. A lot of people moved here who have no permanent residence and they are not snowbirds, they live here, they're owners, and they don't have a car, they don't drive, or for some reason they cannot drive a car. So it's very, very important for us to have a bus to the beach. It used to be 2 years ago, and we hope, and I hope we will get it, a bus as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Lori Rosner. I live in Newcastle A. I sent a letter twice already to the M&O Committee and to SendWest to request an informational meeting regarding future pickleball courts. I do know that you're discussing pickleball courts next year in the budget, but this is a request to have a meeting before you discuss the budget because the M&O Committee discusses budget in private. For me and residents in my building who overlook the pickleball courts are very concerned about adding more pickleball courts outside our window. I don't think people who don't live there understand how loud it is for those of us who live there, or understand that people will not buy in our building now because of the noise from the pickleball courts. I could go on and on. I've spoken to an attorney. I don't want to share all my details. My request to the M&O Committee was to have a meeting with the representatives from pickleball, from tennis, from Newcastle, and from SendWest to have a meeting in person so we could all talk about. I'm 100% behind more pickleball courts, don't get me wrong, but I want to know where they're being placed. They should not be placed outside my window, and I don't appreciate people say, well, when you close your windows and you turn up your air conditioning, you won't hear it. Seriously? That's the solution? That I should close my window? So I would like to know why the M&O Committee has not responded by email or by phone to any of my letters.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've had meetings with all the with the tennis people, with the pickleball people, and this is an item that's coming up on the budget. So no decision has been made.
So I'm going to respond to that again. You can have a budget meeting and talk about new pickleball courts, but unless you discuss with the residents who are impacted by this, that's not really fair. I don't know but 7 people on an M&O committee are voting on a budget item that I don't get a chance to say something. So I've already spoken to an attorney. I know there's a nuisance clause. There is a nuisance clause in my contract with Century Village that says I am entitled to a peace and quiet environment. I also know that many communities have had problems. West Palm Beach also, or Palm Beach County, has a decibel ordinance about how loud the noise can be close to a residence. So this has to be a meeting not with 7 of you, but also involving other people involved. I've spoken to the tennis club people. They also want to be part of a meeting. I don't understand why the courts aren't here, where no residents live and where there's plenty of parking. But again, nobody has responded to my letters. Okay? I don't appreciate that.
Okay, what
We've had input from every particular group. We've had input from residents, so we're well aware of what the problems are by the residents. We know what the pickleball people want. We know what the tennis people want, and
Have you had a meeting with any people that included Newcastle A? And I don't know who lives in Rexford C, but I understand that some people there have a complaint. I don't know. But I don't believe that I know anybody in Newcastle A that has been included in this discussion about the noise from the pickleball courts. Please let me know if I'm incorrect.
She's incorrect.
Hi, my name is Sue J. I live in Mansfield. I have a couple of unusual questions. I work from home as a freelance court reporter, and we have Xfinity,
Could you please
Comcast.
speak into the
Oh,
mic?
okay. I work from home. I'm a freelance court reporter, so I have, attorneys on Zoom. And my question is, and I've tried to call Xfinity, aside from just power outages that you lose your connection. I have no way of knowing if there's going to be any maintenance updates, and so I live in fear I'm going to lose my job because these attorneys, they have to go look for another court reporter. So I wanted to know if you had any idea or any suggestions how if they're going to do, maintenance on Wednesday or they're going to do an update on Friday, how I could get some information about that so I wouldn't work at those times. I know it's unusual, but I don't know who to ask. I've called them. I get no information.
As far as I know, there's no major projects that are coming up to shut off the service.
Well, they do up maintenance. They update. And there's no schedule. They don't give you anything. You never know. And so it's a real problem for me. I mean, it puts my job in jeopardy.
And I'll speak to the representative to find out what they have in plan.
That would be wonderful. And the other question I have is, I don't know how many cell towers are on this property, from T-Mobile or whatever, but I just wondered if anybody had any idea, like I live in Mansfield L, so there's a big tower down there, and it's by you walk on the, you can walk, and I don't know how to describe it. But it's huge. And I was trying to find out what cell tower it is, and also what the EMFs are being emitted from there. Because I know in California, where I used to live, people got cancer from those towers. So I just wondered if you had any idea how many towers there are in this property, and how, who the carriers.
None on our property that I know of.
What?
There are none on our property that I know of.
Well, there's a big giant cell tower at the end of, what? I called, they don't tell me anything.
Boca West property.
Boca West, Boca West.
Oh, so call Boca West? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
My question about, yes, Emma Mosher from Brighton J. My question about water pressure. It's changed so much after they put this big construction in front of our building, and especially its effect, Cobrua, it's flushing, it's a problem.
As soon as all the backflows are completed and the buildings are connected, the two backflows at the main entrances will be removed and the water pressure will come back to normal
Okay, when it's happened?
when they finish the project. Right now, they're working on the north side, and hopefully another month or two.
We'll wait.
Zahava Baum, Wolverton B. I don't have a question. Oh, I do. We're wondering, can't you get smaller buses? You have these humongous buses that go around the facility empty, 24 hours a day, and it's ridiculous. You have one passenger in the bus, you waste all that gas and smoke and fumes. How about some smaller buses?
Right now, we have a contract that's going to be running for a few more years. We've looked into smaller buses, and it could be a problem for a number of the residents because the smaller buses have steps going up into them, and We're gonna look into it, let's put it that way. I can't give you a final answer.
I
right
come
now.
from the north, and the smaller buses also have lifts that go down to accommodate handicapped.
Right now, we're stuck with a contract that has a few more years. When we investigated the small buses, there were none of them that had lifts. So maybe now it'll be different.
Don't you think that it's ridiculous with the gas you're using?
I'm trying to explain to you, we have a contract
I
that we
heard what
cannot
you
change
said.
right
I
now.
heard what you said.
And when the contract is up, we will look into see
How many
how we
more
can
years?
come up. Pardon me?
How many more years?
At least another 3-4 years.
It's ridiculous. What about electric buses?
For electric buses, we have an option to look into after the 8th year of the contract. So after the it's a 10-year contract. After the 8th year, we can look into electric buses, so I will check and see, when that comes up.
Will you look into both smaller buses?
Smaller buses, right now, we cannot change.
I understand. But when
There's
you-
also an ADA problem that you have to live with.
I understand that. Okay, thank you.
Francine Dennett, Exeter D. When I moved in here 20 some odd years ago, my parking spot number was arbitrary. Then they redid the parking lot, and they put my apartment number with my parking spot. I don't like that. I don't want people to know when I'm home and when I'm not home. Is there something that could be done about that?
That's an association problem, so you have to take it up with your association.
You mean I have to talk to the president of Exeter?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Siciliano, President E. Is there anything you do about these people with water heaters that are breaking on the 3rd floor, going down, ruining 2 buildings? They have no insurance. What can you do about that? Anything? Maybe give them a break on water heaters or something.
Who's supposed to
I don't really know.
Holly, that's directed to you.
Did you direct that to me?
Whoever, I don't know.
You're the president.
Thank you. Yeah, that's right, I forgot, I'm also the association president.
You gotta do something about that. I mean, we just had it twice in our building already. In fact, we had it last week.
Well, a lot of the people, they don't take a look at their water heaters and have maintenance done and look at it, because some of them have it for a long period of time. So in other words, water heaters last maybe 7, 8 years, if you're lucky, 10 years. I've seen people that had their water heaters 30 years, 20 years, okay, which is absurd. So when those babies burst, okay, and they start leaking, and if, let's say if you're on the 3rd floor or the 2nd floor, you can virtually destroy the apartments below, okay, and that has happened in several buildings actually in Preston. No, you could still, insurance is still, okay, just one second. Yeah, okay, that's an association issue, Junior, and I'll talk to you about it separately, okay?
So we have the show starts. But they have the dance.
Is there a question?
Yes, Sandy Lyons, I'm in Fanshawe O, and I have an ongoing fight with First Service. They told me to come to you.
For what?
Here I am.
What is the issue?
It's about, I don't know what the fuck it is.
Okay, that's a Fanshawe issue. Okay, see me after the meeting, I'll talk to you about it. I can't- I don't, we'll see when we're done.
Is that what the capital is?
Well, Okay. Someone make a motion to adjourn the meeting, please. Second, and a second, okay. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Thanks for your support.